Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. It's your favorite overworked YouTuber here, back at it again to drop what if Naruto had the Geass Dojutsu. In this video, I'm going to be taking Lelouch's incredible Geass eyes, giving it to Naruto, and seeing every single event that would change in the Naruto story. So if you're excited and looking forward to that, or you just needed something to watch while you clean the dishes, mow the lawn, sweep the house, then this is the video for you. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, do all that usual YouTube stuff to help the video do so much better in the algorithm, and enjoy. We begin our story on Naruto's 6th birthday. Naruto would be outside of the playground playing with a group of kids when suddenly, as Naruto would tag another kid, a parent would come in out of nowhere saying, "Get away from my son!" pushing Naruto to the ground as he would fall down, looking up in fear, just wondering why in the world this person just reacted like that. He would end up grabbing his daughter as he would pull her away, saying, "Don't ever speak to that boy again. That's a demon." He would look at him with rage in his eyes as Naruto would just stare at him, wondering what he did wrong. They were just playing. He would continue playing with the other kids, but honestly, after that it took place, everybody else kind of felt an awkwardness in the air, so they all kind of stopped, and Naruto was left to be the only person there as he would begin swinging on a swing set that he usually would, thinking, why in the world the village treats him so bad? In this timeline, Naruto at 6 years old can already understand that this world is not exactly fair, and that this village is not perfect, but it's not evil. Naruto's not sure why the people treat him like garbage, but he can definitely see that it's not like the villagers are evil, they're just jerks to him, and he doesn't really get why. Naruto would wonder what he did wrong. Must he have done something bad in his previous life to deserve this? He doesn't know, but all he knows is that after this sucky day and another crappy birthday, he decides that he's just gonna go home. He would end up making his way towards his house, and on his way there, he would be stopped by the same adult that would have yelled at him earlier. Naruto would look at him in fear as the man would say, hey, sorry, kid, I didn't mean to scare you. Sorry about how I reacted earlier. I was just in a bad mood and I thought you hit my daughter. Naruto looks at him and goes, hey, it's okay. We all make mistakes, right? As the man would look at him and say, yeah, mistakes. He would then go on to pretty much ask Naruto if he wouldn't mind coming over to their home for dinner. Naruto, hearing that, for just a moment would have a glimmer in his eyes, as hearing this, even though Naruto thought that this might be some sort of trick or something, just the possibility, the thought that somebody could actually be trying to do something nice for him, Naruto would crumble and decide that screw it, he's just gonna go see if this is the truth. Making his way inside, he'd say, "So, where is the..." as the man would lunge on top of Naruto, beginning to strangle him. As Naruto's eyes would turn red, his face would begin to turn purple, and he would begin grasping at the man's face, trying to claw at him somehow, trying to retain life in some way or another. But as he does this, the man would suddenly let him go, saying, "No, not this easy. I'm not gonna make your death a quick, not after what you did to her." As the man would go on to tie Naruto's arms up, as he would punch him in the stomach, causing Naruto to begin to wiggle all over the ground and just writhe in pain. Naruto at this point would be put on a chair as he would ask the man why he's doing this. He would tell him to shut up, screaming at him, saying not to be loud, as he would gag Naruto with the little thing that he would put, like a t-shirt, a loose t-shirt or something, that would actually go on to do a very good job, as he would proceed to begin beating Naruto with a baseball bat, hitting him in the stomach over and over and over. Eventually a rib would break, and as Naruto's crying out, begging the man to stop, he would just start trembling, wondering if what he's doing is even right. See, the reason that the man was doing this in the first place was because Naruto had been the reason, quote unquote, that he lost his wife all those years ago to the Nine Tails attack. And this little kid Naruto, the only reason that he's not already dead is because of the fact that he has the Nine Tails. Had he been another child at the age of 6, this 100% would have killed him. But because he has the influence of the Nine Tails, things don't exactly turn out that way. Actually, let's say 8 years old, because I really do think that 6-year-old Naruto low-key would have died. 8 years old makes his body a little stronger, not by much, but you get what I'm saying. 8 years old Naruto at this point. That said, as Naruto would scream louder and louder, he would eventually end up causing the gag from his mouth to move. as at this point all of Naruto's worst thoughts, all of his worst things that he could imagine, all the hate in his heart for the villagers would finally come out, and Naruto would just yell at the man, looking at him dead in his eye, saying, "Kill yourself!" And interestingly enough, the man would do so, proceeding to take the kunai that he was about to use to kill him and stab himself in the neck. The man would fall down onto the ground with blood gushing from his throat as he would look at Naruto and his eyes would just stare deep into his soul. Naruto at this point would throw himself backwards on the chair as the chair would actually break, and Naruto would proceed to wiggle his way out of it as he would make his way towards the door and try to get out, but because his hands were tied, he was having a really rough time. Naruto eventually goes up to the man, leaning downwards as his arms would be tied behind his back as if he was handcuffed, and he would take the kunai from the man's throat out, beginning to cut the ropes. Naruto at this point would then make his way outside, as opening the door he would run outwards before beginning to rush home as blood would be covering him and he would be looking battered and beaten. As Naruto would be running home, another civilian actually notices him, and this would be the best friend of the man who would have just attempted this. He would have ran this idea by him, and he would have actually been in the process of taking care of his daughter, so she would have never found out about this. So with him seeing that the kid ran away, he would say, "Stop right there," chasing him with a blade, as Naruto seeing this would start screaming, realizing that he had just escaped from one monster, and now he would begin to be chased by another. Panicking, Naruto would look back and yell, "Stop chasing me! Kill yourself!" All of a sudden, silence would end up going through the area, and Naruto could hear the man's footsteps stopping as they would stop getting closer and closer, as suddenly he would hear, "As you command," and the man would kill himself in an instant. Naruto would turn around to see the man lying in the pool of his own blood as he would continue running, turning the corner, and begin to hyperventilate, wondering if that was his doing. Naruto would feel so much fear in that moment, but that experience had permanently scarred him for life. Naruto had experienced the practical full force of human evil at the age of 8 years old, and Naruto would begin to feel fear and anger. But above all, Naruto would feel power, real genuine power for the first time. This would proceed to lead Naruto to begin wondering how exactly he pulled that off, realizing that that couldn't have been just some coincidence. There had to be a connection between the both. He had told them each to kill themselves and they did so. Naruto would wonder if he has some sort of genjutsu or something like that, or it's maybe a ninjutsu. But Naruto, not being too sure about this, would decide that he needs to figure out how exactly this power works. As he would begin limping home, before two Anbu shinobi would appear next to Naruto and tell him that he needs to report to Hiruzen's office immediately. Naruto would arrive there and Hiruzen would question Naruto on what happened with that villager that had killed himself, saying that they saw Naruto running away and he was the only person near him at the moment before he killed himself. Naruto would look at Hiruzen with fear in his eyes as he would go on to explain that that man was trying to kill him, and suddenly he stopped moving and then killed himself. Hiruzen would pretty much fact check this and realize that Naruto's not lying, and considering that he knows of no jutsu that could make that happen, he would just believe Naruto, saying that he's extremely sorry that he had to go through that at all, and tell Naruto that he's going to take him to the nurse's office or the hospital to patch up those wounds, giving him a smile and telling him that he'll make sure that something like this never happens. After this would take place, Hiruzen would go on to drop a statement on the village telling them that if anybody ever tries to kill Naruto again, that their fate would be worse than death, saying that they're going to be living a life out like Cain, from the infamous Bible story from Genesis, Abel and Cain. You know, he kills his brother. Anyways, after this traumatic experience in Naruto's life, Naruto would begin to wonder what exactly this power is, and realizing that whatever this thing is, he now has real power. Naruto would wonder what he should do with this village. It's treated him like absolute garbage, but he can't lie. Hiruzen's not an evil man, and there is some people here that he does care about. So he would begin to ponder, is the village bad, or is there just a few bad eggs? Naruto would wonder if maybe it's the village leaders that are in the wrong. And looking around, Naruto would start to realize that it's honestly a bit of both. Naruto starts to realize that he's not exactly gonna just be coming around and just destroying an entire village, regardless of how poor they treated him. So Naruto decides that instead of just wrecking the whole place, Naruto would rebuild it, make something much greater, get to a position of power where everyone would have to respect him, regardless of who they are. And so, from that day forth, everything in Naruto's life would change. Naruto would begin testing hypotheses that he has for his ability, as Naruto would actually try his commands on different people. About 2 weeks later, Naruto would make his way to, no, that's bogus. Yeah, about 2 weeks later, because his injuries would have to heal, obviously, so he'd be at the hospital, and he would use his time at the hospital to actually test his newfound abilities, giving simple commands like, bring me this, or bow down before me. And interestingly enough, different staff workers would actually do what he says, but there'd be a couple of times where Naruto would wonder why it wasn't working. He would give some strange commands, pervy ones, because Naruto is a child, and a very weird one at that, as those ones wouldn't work and the nurses would kind of get switched out, being like, yeah, I don't necessarily want to take care of him anymore. And we pretty much end up getting Naruto testing and realizing that eye contact is very important to this ability of his, understanding that what he needs in order to activate this ability is eye contact. And for the purposes of this what if, I'm going to be saying he doesn't need like permanent eye contact in the sense that he has to be staring at you as he says the command, but he simply has to look at you in the eye once and boom, the command could work. Similarly to Itachi's Genjutsu, so that we're able to give Naruto this really busted ability that's going to be serving him incredibly well for over the course of this series. That said, Naruto would actually make his way towards Hiruzen's office after the recovery process would finally be over, and Naruto's only goal at this point was knowing the truth. Naruto, making his way to Hiruzen, would look at him in the eye and say, "Tell me the truth about my parents and why I'm so different from everybody else." In that moment, Hiruzen would look at Naruto and just begin telling him everything. This man starts spilling the truth about Minato and Kushina, Naruto being the son of a Jinchuriki, the son of the 4th Hokage, and the fact that he's the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, that the reason that the village hates him so much is because 8 years ago, Minato sealed the tailed beast inside of him to protect the Leaf Village, and a rumor was spread by one of the village higher-ups, which essentially would have been responsible for everybody knowing the truth about him being a Jinchuriki. That said, the command would be over because Hiruzen would tell him everything he possibly could about what had happened that day. And Naruto, finding this out at an even younger age than the one that he does in the original, would be absolutely stunned. In anger, he would ask, "Why am I living under these circumstances if I'm the son of the 4th Hokage?" Hiruzen, hearing this, would be like, "You're the son of the... What are you talking about, Naruto? Where'd you get such a foolish idea from, boy?" As Naruto, looking to him, would say, "Come on, it's obvious. Just look at the resemblance between my face and the 4th's. You'd have to be dumb not to notice that." But Hiruzen would go on to pretty much start acting as though that's not the case and being like, he definitely bears a resemblance, but there's no way he could be his son, yada yada yada. And Naruto, hearing this, would wonder why he's lying to him as though he didn't just spill the truth. But Naruto realizes something. He didn't remember. He didn't remember what he said to him. And Naruto, realizing that, would smile, realizing that his power has a bit of a drawback, but if Naruto uses it just the right way, then it's not exactly going to be something that he has to think of as a downside. Naruto realizes that this power essentially allows him to give people commands, and after they're completed, they forget what they did. Naruto would look at him and say, "Sorry, Hiruzen, I guess I was just really mad about what had happened to me recently, and I've had a lot of time to think about random ideas as I was in the hospital. I guess I'm not the son of the 4th, as much as I wish I was." As he would walk out, and Hiruzen would wonder why exactly the kid had thought that. He would sit back wondering what could have brought that conversation on, but ultimately he would then be distracted by all the paperwork that he had to do. And so Naruto would make his way back to regular day life as he would go to the playground another day and test this theory out, going up to a random kid and saying, be my friend. The kid would look at him, push him away, and say, heck no, as he would, be pushed to the ground, with Naruto being like, alright, well that confirms it. I'd already had my suspicions, but this just makes things even better. Naruto, then noticing another girl nearby, would go up to the blonde girl as he would say, be my friend, looking at her in the eyes, and almost instantly, she would begin to be extremely nice to him. Naruto would smile at the fact that this is gonna be working just fine, as he would wonder exactly how long this effect would last, deciding to test this theory by making his way towards a grocery shop owner, or like more of a, produce fruit store owner, as he would tell him to give him an apple a day. I know, kinda dumb. But he would walk past every single day trying to see how long this effect lasts, and after a week, Naruto was about 7 apples up. A month would pass, more apples, and Naruto would realize that this is kind of permanent. I know that obviously the Geass might not work like this, but I'm giving Naruto the ability to have absolute commands. These commands are able to last from the moment he gives them to the moment that these people die, depending on what the commands are. If it's as simple as, pick up that shoe and put it there, as soon as that's done, the command's over. But if it's a command that's like, be my friend, it lasts as long as they live. Oh, and one drawback that this dojutsu will be having is the ability of only having one command per person. The reason for that being because I think that that's the limitation that the Geass has. So with that said, let's move on. Naruto at this point, now fully understanding its capabilities, would realize how much more powerful this power was than he had given it credit, as he would go on to realize that with this, he's going to be able to achieve his goals much faster, way quicker than he had thought, considering the fact that with a power like this, he doesn't even have to become Hokage. He just needs to be close to the next Hokage, considering the fact that he had already used his command on this one to find out some information that only he could have known. And Naruto, knowing that the old man was already getting up in age, would realize that he probably doesn't even have to wait that long. All he needs is to become a ninja, get in close quarters with the Hokage, and bide his time, and everything should fall into place. So Naruto would do just that, and as time would pass, Naruto would decide to keep his power hidden, making sure that this is something that nobody else knows that he has. Only using the ability a couple of times, using it to get whatever he wants every now and then, and also to pass the academy. If there was ever a specific thing that he really wanted, he would be able to tell the villager to simply just give it to him for free. And when it came to the academy, Naruto was absolutely not worried, considering the fact that he could simply use his dojutsu ability to tell his sensei Iruka to pass him on the last day. So Naruto, in terms of his grade, yes, he would study not to be a knucklehead, but he wouldn't really take things too seriously, being a little bit dumb in terms of book smart, but in terms of real world and what you're actually going to be needing, Naruto's a genius. His brain could move at 1,000,000 miles per second, but all this textbook and history stuff, he thinks it's so stupid. Why is he ever going to be needing to know how to calculate pi? I mean, what's the point? But regardless, Naruto, sitting in the back of the classroom, would be there on the final day as Iruka would walk in proud of all the students, saying that he's incredibly proud of each and every single one of them, that they've made incredible strides during their time here, and that he's finally going to be able to give them their last question as his exam proctor. With this question actually being for you guys, I want to know down below in the comments, who's your favorite Naruto character ever? And also, have you liked the video? Because if not, let me remind you the fact that this thing is going to be an hour long, and if you somehow manage to sit here for the entire hour and you don't like it, you're a bad person, alright? That's all I'm gonna say. I don't make the rules, I just follow them, okay? I just enforce them. Jokes aside though, it really would mean a lot if you guys like this video, considering it took a lot of time to make this video, helps the video do a lot better in the algorithm, and ultimately that helps me stay motivated to make more videos for you guys. So if you guys want me to continue on this devastating path, which is me making tons and tons and tons of what if movies for you guys, just pumping them out like nothing, then leaving a like would go a long way. Getting back into the story, however, Naruto would be placed onto Team 7 just like he would be in the original, as we would end up getting events such as the introductions of the team playing out just like they would in the original. Literally nothing changes, with the exception of Naruto saying that what his goal is essentially to become a powerful shinobi and nothing else. Not I like ramen, not any of the other bogus that he would have included. That said, everybody kind of just nods and then would be told to meet at the forest the next day where they're going to be taking the bell test. Kakashi would body flicker away as everybody would just be watching that, and Sasuke would think, show off. After this would take place, everybody would make their way towards the bell test where the exam would begin, and 3, 2, 1 later, Naruto would decide that instead of rushing in like a fool, because he has the code Geass and he's a lot smarter in this timeline, he would actually decide to opt to hide in this timeline, not having access in this version to the ability of the multi-shadow clone jutsu, just because in this specific timeline, he's not going to be stealing the scroll of sealing. This version of Naruto is going to be passing the test due to using his dojutsu ability, so when Mizuki comes up to him and tells him, hey Naruto, steal the scroll of sealing, it's not happening. And if somebody else was sent to do his, dirty work for him, they wouldn't have succeeded. The only reason that Naruto was able to do it was because he had the sexy jutsu, which unfortunately, I don't think any other kid's going to be having access to. So unless there's a genin out there who could defeat the Hiruzen, the Kage at 12 years old, right? 12 years old, then you're out of luck. Tangent aside though, during the exam, Naruto would try his absolute best to get close to Kakashi, but it ultimately wouldn't work. I could see Naruto still ultimately being trapped to the pole, as he as well as Sasuke would both be in that situation, and as Sakura would be eating her bento bowl, Naruto would begin wondering why they gave them such an impossible task, realizing that under normal circumstances there's no way they're going to be able to actually take the bells from Kakashi. So what gives? Also, why is there only 2 bells? Suddenly everything would click for Naruto's mind, being the analytical person that he is, as he would realize that this wasn't a test to get the bells, it was a test to assess their teamwork. Naruto, realizing this, would turn to the team and tell them that he knows what they have to do. They just have to work together, going on to explain that he suspects that the point of this test isn't even to get the bells, but just to show that they can operate as a team as a whole. Sasuke, hearing that, would be stunned that Naruto could figure something out like that, thinking that he was nothing but a fool because Naruto had still masqueraded as the little dumb bumbling kid that he always had been, considering that he's not exactly a full-on mastermind if he can't fake another personality to make people, doubt him, or underestimate him is the better word. That said, they would try this out once again, and you guys might be wondering, why doesn't Naruto just use his Geass to control Naruto and have them pass? Well, the reason for that is because Naruto's well aware of the fact that Kakashi is a Jonin level shinobi, and he doesn't exactly want to waste his command on Kakashi because he only has the one. So they would end up doing the thing that Naruto had just pretty much told them, and the team would actually end up passing, with Kakashi saying, you figured it out, and ultimately giving them an ultimatum telling them that still only 2 of them are passing. Naruto, understanding that this is fake, would go on to sacrifice himself in a fake attempt to, show that he's a team player. Kakashi, knowing that Naruto understood already what was going on, would tell them that they pass, and so, for the following week, all of them would end up going on E-rank missions, as they would end up doing the same useless tasks for the village that would be done in canon, and they would eventually be given a C-rank mission after Sasuke this time around would have actually been extremely impatient about the missions that they've been given, ultimately requesting Hiruzen to give them a mission that's about their pay grade. So, Hiruzen would do just that, opting to agree to what Sasuke had said, saying that that's true. They do have incredible talent on their team and it would sure be a waste to waste it. So, he would end up giving them the Tazuna Bridge Builder mission, and the team would end up making their way towards that direction and begin their journey. This entire mission, and I could not stress that more, the whole thing, from front to back, would go exactly the same. Naruto is 100% gonna freeze up when he encounters the Demon Brothers. The reason for this being that even though Naruto had been attacked as he was a child, he still has never had real one-on-one combat experience. So Naruto would freeze up in that moment and we would still end up getting the scaredy cat scene, something that I don't think has actually happened in What If My What Ifs in such a long time. Which means that then the team will eventually run into Zabuza, and that would go the same. Naruto and Sasuke would end up creating the same tactical plan that they would have in the original, ultimately freeing Kakashi, as we would then get the tree walking training, Naruto and Sasuke competing against each other, and ultimately Naruto's encounter with Haku in the forest, where he was tricked into thinking that he was a she. And at this point you might be wondering, Xehther, why is nothing changing? He has a Geass. Yeah, he has a Geass and he's a genius, but remember, he's trying to play the role of a bumbling fool. He doesn't exactly want anybody to suspect the fact that he's not an idiot. Like, yes, he is weak and he can't exactly fight that well. Like, in terms of combat, Sasuke would absolutely blow him out of the water, but in terms of the stuff that he's actually capable of, he's not just gonna bust out the Geass every single time and just use it whenever it benefits him, especially when it's something that Naruto holds near and dear to his heart, considering that it's something that he wants to make sure nobody is aware that he has. And so, the team would end up making their way to the mission on the bridge as the battles between Sasuke and Haku as well as Kakashi and Zabuza would begin. Naruto, watching this play out, would begin to grip his fist as he would realize that he needs to use his ability, because being honest, he won't be able to stop Haku. But something inside of Naruto would snap in this moment, seeing Sasuke facing off against Haku. Naruto would want to help clenching his fist, but he would realize that if he does so, he's effectively gonna have to use his other command on Sasuke, because there's no way that that little bastard was not going to be questioning him on how exactly he managed to do that. Knowing Sasuke, he'll probably be like, Naruto, how did you? And he's never going to hear the end of it. So he decides to just opt to wait for Sasuke to lose this fight, and once he would end up doing so, dropping to the ground with the last Senbon needle piercing him, Naruto would run in as Sasuke, now being fully unconscious and knocked out, would run in there staring at Haku directly into his mask, as they would make eye contact for a brief second, as Naruto, turning towards the direction of him, would tell Haku to betray Zabuza and join the Leaf Village. In this moment, Haku would kind of just go dead silent as he would rush towards the direction of Zabuza, who was currently being held by Kakashi's dog, since, you know, like, he was about to pierce him with a Chidori, as Haku would proceed to kill Zabuza, you know, stabbing him with a Senbon needle right through his neck, with Zabuza dropping to the ground, looking at Haku and just thinking, why? But as he falls to the ground, a slight smile would appear on his face, and Haku would turn towards the direction of Kakashi, saying that he wishes to join the Leaf Village, that his time working under Zabuza is over, and he's done being used as a tool, saying that he wants to fight for something bigger. A village, one that hasn't betrayed him, and one that has incredible members in it. Looking to Naruto, he would smile as something inside of Haku's brain would have permanently being altered, having unknown, you know, and a crazy amount of loyalty to the village for some reason, as well as to Naruto. He would wonder why that is, but he just doesn't go against his will, which is currently telling him to do this. Naruto, seeing this, would smile, knowing that with this, the mission was over. Gato's men would eventually arrive, but having Naruto, who pretty much has wasted no stamina, Haku there, who's able to just throw Senbon needles so easily kill them, and Kakashi, who never had to use a Chidori, so he has a lot more stamina in the tank, they'd be able to wipe out Gato's men similarly to how Zabuza would, and ultimately return to the village, having completed this with a brand new member, with Naruto smiling, knowing that Haku will be a great asset to the village. He's going to be able to introduce a new branch of KK Genkais into the village, and Naruto has full intentions to take advantage of this, with him thinking that one day he's gonna make Haku join the breeding program that the village has to create an entirely new clan, which is kind of funny, but I mean, it is what it is. When you really think about it, if you have a person with a very powerful KK Genkai, you would want to repopulate. I've always wondered why in Boruto there's not a bunch of little Uchiha kids that Sasuke had pretty much created because he wanted to restore his clan, right? Why didn't he start with step one? Restore your clan, buddy. Have a bunch of, you know, people who you're able to use. Like, you don't even have to do this thing with them. You could literally just use, you know, your things and, you know, go to a little bank. You guys know the kind I'm talking about, and just deliver it like that. You know what I mean? Give out little Uchihas. It's going to be an Uchiha bargain sale. But I digress. Point is, they would return to the village, and with that being the case, Haku would actually go on to become a ninja under the order of Hiruzen, being a direct Anbu member to him, as the team would after this be informed of the Chunin exams, and the team hearing about this would of course accept, with Naruto thinking that this is a perfect opportunity to rise in the ranks. That said, the Chunin exams would begin like usual, and funny enough, everything would go down just like you would expect. Sasuke would get his teeth kicked in by Rock Lee, they would end up making their way inside, and everybody would stare at them, you know, trying to act like they're all big and bad, when funny enough, most of them don't even get past the testing stage, which is kind of ironic. But after this, Naruto making his way into the testing stage would end up actually passing by deciding that he was simply going to be using his Geass to command the exam. exam proctor. But funny enough, when the final question came around, Naruto didn't look worried in the slightest, deciding that he was going to answer it and just cheat by using the proctor to actually give him the answer. But funny enough, answering the question was all he needed, so Naruto didn't even have to use his Geass, and him just waiting things out actually ended up being way more beneficial than had he gone over to him and say, "Pass me." You know what I mean? So the team would make their way inside the forest, and they would begin rushing inside, wondering if they could find a team rather quickly so they could be some of the first people to actually defeat this section of the test. They would rush in, and funny enough, about 3 hours into it, they would actually end up being approached by an incredibly powerful shinobi. This obviously to us being Orochimaru, as he would end up arriving to the scene, and Naruto being present with the team this time around would freeze under the pressure and bloodlust that Orochimaru would exude. In this moment, Naruto would actually be the first to be striked at by Orochimaru, who would go on to send him crashing into a tree, with Naruto writhing in pain from the blow that Orochimaru would have just delivered him. Naruto would simply watch in fear as Sasuke would have dodged out of the way alongside Sakura by stabbing himself in the leg and then pushing her out of the way, using pain to overwhelm the fear that he was feeling. After this happens, Sasuke would try to go one-on-one with Orochimaru, but he would be absolutely no match to him, and he would go on to have the curse mark placed onto him. Naruto, watching this happen in the span of literally like 20 seconds, would go on to karate chop Sakura on the neck as she would fall down onto the ground, and Naruto, staring at Orochimaru, who would be on top of a tree ready to disappear, Naruto in anger after having been hit like that would say, "Stab yourself 100 times and die," as Orochimaru would literally uncontrollably begin to stab himself everywhere, just dying, as he would be unable to even stab himself 100 times, dying before that, but just continuing to stab with his body just literally moving on its own. Naruto, seeing this, would smirk as he realizes that he had just absolutely destroyed whoever that was, as we would then get a scene of Naruto creating a shadow clone, which would go on to take Sasuke by his shoulder, and he would make his way towards a nearby cave where he would begin to take care of both Sakura and Sasuke. A little bit after this would happen, we would end up getting the Sound Genin arriving to try to actually take Sasuke and kill him. But before that could even happen, Naruto would simply come outside looking at them and say, "What are you doing here?" As they would look at him and say, "We're here to kill Sasuke. Now hand him over or die." With Naruto, looking at them and saying, no, I don't think I will. He would go on to ask them if they know who he is, and they would say they don't, and they don't care. Naruto would pretty much just go on to say that he's the guy who's about to put his foot up their butts. And so he would proceed to pretty much order them around, telling them that what they need to do is to take the scroll from another team and then kill themselves. As you know, after handing it to him, obviously, the team would literally just turn around like zombies and rush towards another unexpected team, taking the scroll, hand delivering it to Naruto, and then rushing away as they would kill themselves nearby, with Naruto simply just being there and essentially helping Sasuke and Sakura back to health. When Sasuke would wake up, he would be feeling like he has the power of the curse mark, but Naruto would go on to tell him what happened and how Orochimaru had barely left him behind. Naruto, to make this look more believable, would have, added some extra battle damage, saying that he's gone now, and Sasuke would look at Naruto saying, "You don't look very well," with him saying, "The guy nearly killed me and you guys," with Sasuke being so pissed and being like, "I swear if I ever get my hands on that guy," feeling so much rage. But Naruto would say, "One day you will," knowing that he's dead. But come on, it's Orochimaru. He's not dead. The best you could hope for is out of commission for maybe a day. With that being said, the team would end up making their way back towards the direction of the tuning tower, and once they would arrive, Sasuke would end up having his curse mark ability sealed away by Kakashi, as we would then get the 1v1 battles. As soon as this would start, Naruto would see that his opponent was Kiba, as he would smirk, thinking that he sure is glad he never used his powers on this jerk, as he would stare at him and not wanting to actually have a full out fight, opting to not exactly get hurt even a bit, would go on to tell Kiba to fake losing against him. And so we would end up getting a rigged battle where Kiba ultimately would be the butt of the joke. He would pretend to fight Naruto going all out, but ultimately, thanks to Naruto's command, Kiba would end up losing and would be on the ground, as Naruto would hold his hand up and Kiba would look up holding his head wondering what happened. He would realize that he would have lost, and staring at Naruto he would wonder what he did to him, but he would walk away thinking about this as Hinata would say, "You did so well, Kiba," as she goes up to Naruto handing him an ointment, and Naruto would smile saying, "Thanks, Hinata." After this would happen, we would then end up getting the rest of the battles taking place, as Naruto would have exactly 1 month to begin training to figure out how to get stronger. Naruto during this time would decide that he needs to get stronger, considering that yeah, he has this incredible dojutsu, but let's say the day ever comes where he faces against somebody who kills him before he even gets the chance to use it, knowing that in this shinobi world, it's kill or be killed, and at any moment, Naruto could be killed by any ninja that's stronger than him, knowing that the truth really is that he's just too weak. Naruto would consider using the tailed beast inside of him, but having nothing to go off of and not knowing how to even get started on training with that ability, would realize that he can't, and thinking about using some new jutsu that he could develop would not even be a thing that he has up his cards, knowing that Kurama inside of him, or his chakra beast, would pretty much be hindering his chakra control. So Naruto would sit there wondering what the heck he could do, realizing that all he really could work on was taijutsu, and even if he made that better, that Rock Lee guy, if he ends up being fine after what happened to him, could beat him easily. So Naruto would start beating himself up over how weak he felt, when ultimately he ends up meeting Sensei Jiraiya, who in this timeline would begin to train Naruto, teaching him the summoning jutsu and how to control the powers of the Nine Tails. But in this timeline, something absolutely fascinating would happen. Do you guys remember the moment in time in which Naruto had his first encounter with Kurama and was able to see him face to face behind the bars of that cage? In this timeline, when Naruto looks at Kurama, he would have the biggest grin on his face, as he would say, "Be my friend and obey my every command." Kurama in this moment would change instantly, as Naruto, falling off the cliff, would say, "Fox, help me!" And as he's falling, a bunch of chakra would begin to be channeling through his hand, as he would realize that hindrance that he had felt all his life, that inability to control his chakra, it's gone. Naruto instantly summoning Gamabunta would be saved out of there, as in an instant, the second that Naruto comes out of there, he would be coated in KCM chakra, going into the perfect Kurama chakra mode. The one that he would have used to face off against Raikage, Itachi, the one that he also I think might have seen or fought Kisame in? No, yeah, that didn't happen, I'm tripping. But the point is, with this being the case, Jiraiya would be absolutely flabbergasted, being like, "Kid, how did you get access to that? It said that only perfect Jinchurikis can do that." As Naruto would go ahead and say, "Guess I'm just a natural." Inside of his mind though, he would end up hearing Kurama say, "Hey kid, just call me Kurama." As Naruto would smile and say, "Thanks, Kurama." And we would then get a scene of Jiraiya being like, "Who's Kurama?" And Naruto would say, "Oh right, that's it's the tailed beast, the Nine Tails, that's his name." Jiraiya would say, "You know its name?" And Naruto would say, "Sure, he's my friend. I met him and we became good buddies." As Jiraiya would be like, "I'll never understand you, Naruto." And over the course of the next week, Naruto would go on to train Naruto, telling him that yes, he's incredibly strong and way faster than Jiraiya could ever hope to be, but unless he knows how to use that, he's going to be kind of useless. So he would polish up Naruto's taijutsu skills, and with that, Naruto would be more than ready to face off against Neji. He would practically speed blitz Neji and make things so easy that it's like not even fair. Have you guys seen those videos where it's like Goku versus Frieza, but he's super duper extra prepared and he goes into like Super Saiyan Blue? That's the equivalent of what's happening to Naruto against the opponents he's gonna face, at least the next like 3 maybe. So yeah, Neji gets absolutely decimated, and after this would take place, Naruto's battle would be over quickly. Eventually Sasuke would arrive to have his own battle against Gaara, and that would go down just like it does in the original. The attack on the village would still take place, and funny enough, this would actually be perfect for Naruto, working exactly in his favor, considering the fact that he needed a way to get Hiruzen out of his seat of power, and with Orochimaru's help, who he didn't even know was still alive, that's gonna be more than perfect. That said, he would end up pretty much going towards the direction of Sasuke to help him out against his battle with Gaara, only deciding to help if he absolutely needs to, and so he would end up bumping into Temari and Kankuro, who ultimately would be handled by Shino and Shikamaru, I believe. Not too sure about the second one, but point is, Naruto would arrive towards the direction where Gaara and Sasuke were currently having their battle, as he would watch as Sasuke would do his absolute best, whipping out all the stops that he possibly had access to, and ultimately was about to die thanks to a blow from Gaara. But in that moment, Naruto would say Kurama and instantly be coated with his KCM ability. Naruto rushing in would speed blitz Gaara, one-shotting him, as Gaara would be on the ground unconscious, and Naruto, would place his hand on Gaara's head as he would go on to pretty much channel his chakra through him, and this would lead to an encounter between Shukaku and Kurama, as he would go on to tell him that he's still an annoying brat, and Shukaku would say, "What'd you say? Say that to my face," with Kurama laughing at him, and Shukaku wondering why he's acting so buddy-buddy with that kid. Kurama would look at him and say it's none of his business, and ultimately we would get the village aftermath of everything, as we would zoom in on the village on a very sad day. The village would be holding a public funeral for the third Hokage, and as everybody else would be feeling awful about this, Naruto would feel a bit different, considering that now the biggest obstacle in his path, Hiruzen, was finally gone, and the next Hokage was going to be put right under his control, thanks to the fact that in this timeline, Naruto's still going to be going on the search to find Tsunade, and so we would get the same events that we get in canon, with Naruto beginning to learn the intros of the Rasengan, making this a new thing in Naruto's arsenal, and at this point, Naruto would be taught the multi-shadow clone jutsu thanks to Jiraiya, who would go on to tell him that shadow clone jutsu of his that he uses is an inefficient version, and is not exactly as good as the one that he could give him access to. He would teach him the hand signs, and Naruto would go on to perform it, being an ace at it the first entire time that he would use it. As speaking of ace, go check out What If Deku was Ace's reincarnation. I'm just kidding. Alright, let me get serious. Naruto would make his way towards a hotel with Jiraiya, as do you guys remember that encounter that he has with Itachi and Kisame, where Sasuke comes in and he's like, "Die!" and then Jiraiya comes in and Itachi gets out? Yeah, so that stuff would still end up taking place, minus everything I just mentioned, so basically none of it. Naruto in this timeline, when he would open the door, being greeted by the eyes of the Sharingan as well as Kisame, would actually realize that these guys are not somebody to be taken lightly, but Naruto, realizing this, would start to wonder how he would actually stack up to them. Naruto would say Kurama, as he would proceed to power him up with the power of the Nine Tails, and Naruto would blitz forth at Itachi's direction, who would barely dodge, as he would punch straight at the direction of Kisame, who would block with the sword, who would be pushed back greatly. At this moment, Kisame and Itachi, both realizing that this kid is extremely fast, would go on to face off against Naruto, but funny enough, Naruto would actually give them a bit of a run for their money. Now, the reason I say a bit is because this is a younger Naruto, and he doesn't have exactly the same taijutsu polish or, the Rasen Shuriken or stuff like that to be able to just insta-kill them. So I'm going to be saying that because Itachi, who was an Edo, meaning that his sickness wasn't affecting him anymore, was able to keep up with Naruto, I think Kisame and Itachi are going to be able to keep up with 12-year-old, if not 13-year-old Naruto with KCM. That said, Naruto would prolong the fight as much as he possibly could, as Itachi, having enough of this and realizing that Naruto was actually an incredible threat, would use his Sharingan to actually stop Naruto's connection with Kurama, with this being something that we saw Sasuke doing but not able to do later, as but we're just going to be saying that it works for some reason, okay? He pretty much ends up cutting Naruto's access to this, as Naruto would actually end up having a grin in that moment, and Kisame would say, "What's wrong, kid? Don't have access to your little tailed beast powers anymore?" With Naruto saying, "Don't need them." Looking at both of their eyes, with Itachi being like, "He's a fool. He dares look into the eyes of an Uchiha," as Naruto in an instant would say, "Kill yourselves." And as they hear this, Sasuke would come running from the corner of the room, barely arriving at the hotel, as he would scream, "Itachi!" And he would be greeted to the side of Itachi and Kisame, who both would commit seppuku. Sasuke, seeing this, his jaw would drop to the ground as he would look at Naruto and ask him how he did this and why. He was the one who was supposed to kill Itachi, not him. But Naruto would simply look at him, telling him that Itachi's dead. What's he gonna do about it? Kill him next? He did him a favor. Sasuke would look at him with so much rage in his eyes, saying that that was his revenge to take, not his. And he would go on to ask how in the world Naruto even did that. Was it a genjutsu? What was it, huh? Naruto, looking at Sasuke, would say, "It's my business, not yours, so get lost," as he would walk past him. And in this moment, we would end up getting Jiraiya arriving, as Sasuke angrily would actually go to try to hit Naruto, but Jiraiya would block the blow, saying, "Kid, I know you're strong, but you can't go attacking your own, your own comrades." And Sasuke, getting mad, would be super pissed and realizing that his entire reason to live, like his goal that he had been striving for the entire part 1 of Naruto, would now be officially gone. And all the while that's happening, we end up getting Naruto and Jiraiya making their way towards Tsunade's location, where once there, they end up pretty much recruiting her to go back to the village. And Naruto, the moment he sees her and gets some alone time with her, with Jiraiya going off to get some drinks for them, would instantly stare at Tsunade and Shizune and say, "I command you to always agree with what I say and take my words as absolute law." In this moment, Tsunade would look at Naruto as he would say, "Hey, you should return to the village with me and Jiraiya and become the 5th Hokage." And Tsunade would agree, nodding her head as she would act normal, simply just having an extreme change of heart. Jiraiya, looking at Naruto, would say, "Hey kid, how'd you manage to do that?" And Naruto would say, "Guess I'm just a lovable scoundrel." Jiraiya would begin to smile and pat Naruto on the back, and after this would happen, Tsunade would go on to tell Naruto about the fact that since she's gonna go ahead and become Kage now, she might as well tell them about Orochimaru's offer to her. Them hearing about this would end up, nodding, as they would agree that they're going to be taking Orochimaru out. Naruto in this moment would wonder why his, ability didn't work. Did Orochimaru not kill himself? Did he have a way to come back to life? What was it? It should be impossible, but regardless, they end up making their way towards the direction of Orochimaru and Kabuto, and during Naruto's face-off against Kabuto, or against Kabuto and Tsunade with his side, he would tell Tsunade to stop fearing blood, as instantly, the thing holding her back for years would be gone, and she would proceed to just punch Kabuto square in the stomach, sending him crashing onto the ground, as Naruto would say, go handle Orochimaru, I'll take things from here," walking over towards Kabuto, who would smirk, saying, "Can't believe you let her go away, and now I'm gonna be able to kill you. It's my lucky day, kid. It's nothing personal though. It's just Lord Orochimaru's orders." Naruto in this moment would say, "Stab yourself in the throat, you worthless scum," as Kabuto would do just that, and Naruto would walk away as he would watch the battle unfold between Orochimaru, Tsunade, and Jiraiya. And Orochimaru, realizing Kabuto was dead, knowing that he had no way out, would simply reverse summon himself back to the village, as Tsunade, Naruto, and Jiraiya, as well as Shizune and the pig, would make their way back to the village. After this happens, a lot is going to be changing in the Naruto world, because Naruto is essentially going to be the Shadow Hokage from, well, the shadows. Anything that Naruto hears from Tsunade, he's essentially going to think over and be the one essentially making any important decisions that are going to be greatly impacting the village. This would actually lead to a new era in the village, where Naruto would proceed to have all the benefits of being a Kage, minus all of the downsides, like the paperwork and being the face of the village and having to take consequences for his actions. During this time, however, Naruto would go to find out that being the Hokage is actually a lot more difficult than he thought, considering that the village elders had just as much say in what happens in the village as Tsunade. Naruto, realizing this, would actually go on to have them be placed under his control as well, by using his Geass on them and forcing them to essentially have to bend to his whim. Over the course of this time, Naruto would create a new era in the village, as the village would actually prosper heavily, and Sasuke, who now not having a reason to go off of the village and go train with Orochimaru in search of greater power immediately, would not actually go with the Sound 4. And so, even if the search for Sasuke arc would happen, Sasuke, once he would end up waking up from having the curse mark like version 2 placed on him, he would end up returning to the village with Naruto, meaning that we're not even going to be getting that iconic fight, and the rest of the story would go down just like it does in the original timeline. Maybe the only change would be that Sasuke wakes up like around the Kimimaro Kimimaro section where Naruto catches up to him. So maybe we get Naruto versus Kimimaro and Sasuke, but since Naruto has the Geass, yeah, he's literally one stab yourself away from death. So with that being said, he returns to the village, and funny enough, Naruto actually thinks that once Sasuke is a little older, he's gonna end up putting him as well as Haku into the Repopulation Act to actually restore the Uchiha clan and use that command on Sasuke so that he can finally be worthwhile to the village, since that was definitely something that Sasuke wasn't exactly having in his plans. That said, everything in the village would actually be going good thanks to Naruto's newfound control, and with Naruto having these incredible powers that he unlocked thanks to Kurama, Naruto would get very overconfident over this period in time, never actually leaving with Jiraiya for his training time skip, considering that Naruto kind of ironically would think that it wasn't necessary, and funny enough, it kind of wasn't. The only thing that Jiraiya could have taught him, quote unquote, would actually be Sage Mode, and if Naruto really needed that, Naruto won't exactly need Jiraiya to actually learn a capability like that, so that is kind of a moot point. And we're able to easily move on to the first arc of Shippuden, the Kazekage rescue mission. I believe is the first one, right? Yeah, no, the Kazekage rescue mission. 3 years after the time skip, they would end up getting a letter from the Sand Village requesting their aid in returning their Kage. And funny enough, once Naruto would catch wind of the fact that this is a mission request, Naruto would decide that they're not his people. He doesn't care about what happens to other nations. So Naruto would actually end up sending a weak group of ninjas that ultimately end up being killed in the attempt to save the Hokage Gaara, or Kazekage Gaara, as Naruto decides that he just wants to let their village stay in their own lane. So Gaara would actually die in this timeline, and Sasori and Deidara, or more specifically Sasori, would get to live another day. Speaking of Sasori, if you guys are watching this video, then most likely before this dropped or after this dropped, What If Naruto Was a Puppet Master, the movie, a full 2-hour What If should have dropped. So go check that one out. Trust me, the beginning might not be that hype, but that has to be one of the best what ifs that I've done in such a long time. So if you guys watch this video and you leave wanting more, go peep that one. Trust me, it's an absolute banger and you won't be disappointed. That said, we would eventually end up getting the Asuma death scene that takes place in the original, and with that being the case, obviously Naruto, with that being the death of a shinobi in the village, would actually end up going with Team 7 to handle their killer, Hidan and Kakazu. Naruto would go on to handle Kakazu easily by using his KCM abilities, which scale much higher to this villain that we would have had in this timeline, and with him actually training for like obviously he didn't just not train, so he's a lot stronger. He's now like 16 to 15 years old. He would just absolutely wipe the floor with Kakazu, destroying him and however many hearts he has. And Hidan, well, he still dies to Shikamaru in one of the most badass scenes in Naruto. That said, once again, which I've said like how many times in this video, Naruto would return back to the village, where he would end up returning only to find out that Jiraiya had actually left to the Rain Village to find the leader of the Akatsuki. Naruto finding out about this would be pissed, simply just hoping that Jiraiya didn't die. Catching wind of this a lot sooner thanks to the fact that anything that the Hokage hears, he hears. Naruto really is the leader of the village at this point, so with him knowing this, he would kind of prepare for the worst. And when the news would finally arrive that Jiraiya was dead, Naruto still, thanks to Jiraiya's wishes, would go on to learn the ability of Sage Mode, which means that our version of Naruto in this timeline would actually go on to learn KCM2 way earlier than in the original. He learned Sage Mode at the same time, but KCM2 he learns earlier. So with that said, when Pain would finally end up coming to the village and attack it, trying to capture Naruto and Sasuke, who mind you is here, would be able to actually handle this threat head on. And with Naruto being leaps and bounds ahead of the strength of the character Pain at this timeline, the battle would be intense. Naruto would start things off by instantly jumping into his KCM mode, as he would create countless clones around the village which would begin to charge up chakra, all the while Sasuke would proceed to ride on top of his hawk, opting to take out one of the other, of the other paths from a distance. Doing this, Sasuke would actually proceed to do extremely well against the Preda path, as he would use his Chidori stream to destroy a lot of them, beginning to actually shoot a stream of chakra into the air as a bunch of thick clouds would begin formulating in the air, and Sasuke begins forming a ton of hand signs. Fireball jutsus would begin flying in out of nowhere, and with Sasuke, fighting at the stage of power that he currently has access to, they would do incredibly well against the Paths of Pain. I mean, even Kakashi would be able to arrive and help out with this. So the village is just super duper extra prepared, and after all of the Paths of Pain would finally be destroyed, I could see Naruto just allowing Sasuke and Kakashi to end up defeating it, which Kakashi nearly did by himself, so this is not a stretch, or he could simply create thousands of clones, which yes, Naruto has access to at this point, and just destroy them with a ton of Rasengans. Naruto in this timeline does not have the Rasen Shuriken because he never learned it yet, but, and this is a bit but, getting hit by that many Rasengans, it doesn't matter, Rasen Shuriken or no Rasen Shuriken, you're freaking dead. So the Diva Path would be destroyed, and after having destroyed the Diva Path, Naruto would end up going towards one of the bodies of the dead, Paths of Pain, grabbing one of the Chakra Raj's receivers and tracking the chakra right to Nagato's location. He would arrive there literally moments later. As destroying the tree, he would look at them and say, that little prank of yours set me back a couple years. Now I'm gonna have to rebuild the village from scratch. So thank you, but no thank you. He would blitz at the direction of Nagato, with Konan trying to get in the way to stop him and setting off tons of chakra bombs. Naruto would be completely unaffected by them, as he would end up piercing Nagato right in the heart, saying, "Good riddance," and looking towards Konan, as he would say, "Tell me everything you know about the Akatsuki." At this point, Konan would go on to tell him literally everything, and once she was done, Naruto would ruthlessly kill her, saying, "Thanks for the info. Hope your next life is a lot better than this one." As he would end up walking away and returning to the village, where rebuild would begin to start on the Hidden Leaf village, and Naruto would create countless clones, going on to go on an effort to find as many people as got injured during that attack, as they would go on to pretty much use Tsunade, who would be out of commission, but thanks to Naruto being able to give her his chakra, she would end up waking up rather quickly, since he doesn't exactly want to go through the hassle of trying to, have another Hokage come in power. Danzo, over the week that she would be out of commission, would try to, take over this time, but because Naruto was so liked and he has the pull of the elders on his side thanks to his Geass, Naruto would actually be able to to take power in the village, and because Danzo doesn't like him, he would actually plot an attack on Naruto, trying to kill him, but that's kinda no bueno, and Naruto, being the temporary Kage in the village, would proceed to have Danzo killed, destroying him over and over and over, as Naruto would proceed to line up every single member of the Root Anbu, which was under Danzo's control, telling them all to look right at his eyes, as he would then go on to say, "You are loyal to the village now, and you will do whatever I say. You answer to me, got it?" Every single one of them would bow down as they would say, "We understand." And Naruto would smile as he would say, "Good, glad we understand each other." After this would happen, I could see Naruto and the reconstruction of the village happening smoothly, as maybe we would still end up getting the event of the 5 Kage Summit, but honestly, I'm not too sure. And because I'm not exactly Kishimoto, I don't really know what Obito would go on to do once we get to this point of the story. Like, realistically, does he go and attack the village with the rest of the Akatsuki members that are left, which would ultimately be Deidara, Sasori himself, and I believe that's it. So that's all he has. Orochimaru still doesn't have his arms, doesn't have Sasuke, and Kabuto's dead, his right-hand man. So I don't know what happens to him, but Naruto could easily take care of him, so he's kind of a non-factor. So now we just have these 3 characters, and without Kabuto in the mix, I mean, Orochimaru is there, but I just don't see him using the reanimation jutsu for anything specifically for the Akatsuki, so it's pretty much just a 3-man squad going up against this version of Naruto, which, physically speaking, Obito could definitely handle this version of Naruto. KCM2 Naruto versus this version of Obito, it would be an incredible fight, but because Kakashi's in the village, and they have so many powerful characters, I don't know if it's in Obito's best favor to fight him there. So he loses in a one-on-one battle, but even assuming the fact that they don't actually fight there and things actually take place a lot differently, I ultimately still see Obito dying. I mean, it just gets to the point where nobody in this verse is even aware of the fact that Naruto has the Geass thanks to the way that he carries himself. Naruto essentially played the Obito role to a T. You know, and it's not like he was faking his personality. He is a goofball deep down, but at the end of the day, he wants to lead the village to a new era, and that's what he has to do it. So Naruto's willing to go through any lengths and means to do that, and one of them would be taking out whoever he needs to take out and ordering anything that he needs to have happen. Oh yeah, Easter egg for you guys. Naruto commands you know, every single, like a lot of villagers to essentially go and eat at Ichiraku Ramen, so he has a lot of customers now in this timeline. But yeah, Obito would either be killed by a one-on-one battle against Naruto, or Obito would be killed by the Geass, with Naruto simply using the Geass and pretty much telling Obito to do the same thing that he's been telling everybody that he encounters up to this point, to simply commit seppuku. And so that's how What If Naruto Had the Geass is gonna be ending. Let me know what you guys thought about this video down below in the comments, and if you guys agree with my take or if you think that this video was a bit sucky. Let me know down below, and also let me just shout out the person who commissioned this video one more time. His name should pop up on screen, or actually let me just look it up. It is commissioned by my boy Immerts. I definitely put him in the intro of the video, but I'm not sure about now. So yeah, it's commissioned by my boy Immerts. His links will be down below in the description if he ends up wanting anything shouted out. But with that all out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys want to have your own video commissioned as well, and you have any what if idea that you've been dying to have me make but I just haven't done, then check out my community tab where I have info about that, and you're able to choose whether you want a 1, 2, 3 hour what if and how you want the story to go. So with that said, it has been your boy Xehther, and I am out. Peace.